Hi, and welcome back to part 2. In between part 1 and part 2, I got down on my stationary bike and pedaled at an easy pace for 15-20 minutes just to test out my knees after we had done that massage and worked on just a little bit of strengthening of all the parts of my thigh. I thought it would be a good idea just to go and pedal. So if you have a stationary bike or a pedaler, in between these yoga practices, go ahead and try those knees out and give yourself a little workout on the stationary bike. So for part 2, you're going to need your sticky mat or comfortable floor, a blanket, a tennis ball, and a strap. Okay? So we're going to start with the tennis ball. And there are a couple things that you can do to add comfort to this next series of exercises. One is to have a blanket to rest your elbows on. The second is if you have a little squishy ball like this to place it behind your lower spine, that will help to support and lift you up so you're not creating any stress on your lower back. So this is really comfortable for me. I'm going to use a tennis ball and do some isometric work. So I want you to place the tennis ball underneath your thigh, close to the top of the knee, but not under the knee. And isometric exercise is when you're engaging the muscle, but you're not actually moving anything. You're just working the muscle, and it's a good way to strengthen. However, if you have uncontrolled blood pressure, you want to make sure that you don't do isometric exercises until you check with your doctor first or get your blood pressure under control. So you're going to flex your foot and place the heel down on the earth, and then at the same time press the thigh bone in toward the ball. So you're really trying to pop the ball with your leg. And this is the isometric exercise of strengthening the muscle and just engaging it without actually moving it or lifting it up. And this you should feel the whole leg, especially the thigh muscle, really tighten up, strengthen. And you just hold this for 5 or 10 seconds and then release and relax. And then repeat that. Keeping the heel down on the earth, press the thigh bone toward the earth, squishing the ball underneath your thigh. Press, 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 press. Feel the strength of your leg. Press out through the heel of the foot a little bit if you can to get some more engagement in the lower leg, and then release. All right, we're going to use this same idea, the same isometric engagement as we then press out through the heel of the foot, but lift the leg. But imagine you're still trying to press the ball down into the earth, so while you're pressing and engaging the leg, keeping the leg strong, you're lifting it up as well. So this is going to work the hip flexor, the core, and the quad as well. And then we're going to do an external rotation where from the top of the hip joint, you imagine the whole leg is rotating out so that if that right leg is pointing toward 12 o'clock, now the whole leg, the thigh, the knee, and the foot are all pointing toward 1 or 2 o'clock. Still working that isometric. Keep imagining you're pressing and squeezing that ball, so you're pressing down as you're lifting up, and then internally rotate, so the whole leg rotates and turns toward 11 o'clock. You should be feeling this. And then go ahead and lower that down, relax, let go. And then we'll go to the other side. Now, if that doesn't feel good on your shoulders, if it feels better for you just to lean back like this, you can do that, but it's going to put more work on your hip flexor. So that's why I'm leaning back like this. So first thing we do is place that ball. I'm just going to move my leg out of the way. Press the ball with the back of the thigh. Press the heel into the earth. Press, 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 press. Keep breathing. This is where you use your yogic breath and mindfulness. Okay, and then as you're ready, keep pressing the leg down and then release. Press and release. Just move through that a few times. Feel the strength of the quad. And notice how you can really take your mindset and your mindfulness to the strength of that leg. Try to keep it out of the buttocks. Keep it into the thigh. Keep the buttocks soft. And then continue to press that leg down as you use the hip flexor to lift the leg up. Keep pressing down as you use the hip flexor to lift up. Externally rotate from the top of the thigh bone. So the whole leg is rotating out. Come back to center and then rotate the whole leg in. And then come back to center and lower that leg down. All right. Next thing we do is Imagine again that ball is under the thigh, so press, 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 engage the muscles of the legs, and then we're going to simply lift and lower. Don't let gravity let the leg drop, but mindfully lower the leg back down. So lifting and lowering. Good. Lift and lower. And then externally rotate, lift and lower. You'll feel the inner thigh really working here as you lift that leg up. One more time, come back to center and then internally rotate. You're going to feel a little bit more on the outside of the thigh. So we're still working those inner and outer thighs as well as the hip flexor. Nice. Okay. Rock that leg side to side and we'll go to the other side. So lower the leg down, isometrically squeeze that tennis ball, keep the heel down on the earth, flex out through the heel of the foot, and as you're ready, lift and lower. Now, as yoga always teaches us about our own body, we can see if one side is a little bit more agreeable, a little bit less challenging than the other side, and that just helps you to identify asymmetries within your own body. Now, externally rotate and lift, feel that inner thigh really working. And notice too if the inner thigh or that internal rotation next is easier. And for most people, the external rotation is a little bit more challenging because those inner thighs are weaker than the outer thigh. Good. And then bring the feet together and take the knees away from each other. All right. That's a lot of work. Now remove the ball. And the next thing we want to do is to lay all the way back. You can use a blanket as a pillow now. And we're going to do a very similar type of thing, but we're going to lift the leg from this position and lift it up just a little bit higher. So lift the leg and lower it. Now, if that causes any discomfort in the lower back, you just keep the knee bent and you can lift and lower the leg from this bent knee. What you're using is your extensors and your flexors here, your quads and your hamstrings to bend the knee and extend the knee. All right, so either way, this will use more of the hip flexor and the core strength. The other will use your your quad and your hamstring. But we don't want to create any discomfort in the lower back. Do a little external rotation here. You're going to feel that inner thigh working. And then turn the leg in and do some internal rotation. So this is really working all the different parts of the quadriceps muscle and the hip flexor. All right, and then we'll go to the other side. Lifting and lowering. And if you can move a little more slowly and mindfully, especially with that leg lowering down, you'll have to use a controlled motion, and that will take more muscle energy, more muscle effort. Externally rotating, lifting with an external rotation. Again, noticing if one side's any more challenging or less challenging than the other side. And then internally rotate, turn those toes inward. Nice. All right. Now we've strengthened, we want to do some stretching, so we're going to use the strap now and place that around the base of the right leg on the upper third of the foot. So first bend that knee and draw that knee in toward the shoulder to plug the head of the leg bone into the pelvis. Press the leg straight out and then point the foot just a little bit and lift the leg up. So my toe is pointed, but you can't see it. And that's going to give you a little bit more movement upward towards your nose with the hamstring. Once you flex the foot, so flex the foot as if you're standing on something. See, my foot is now flexed. You're going to now feel that stretch if the knee is straight, where the hamstring attaches behind the knee onto the shin bone. All right, so you've got the hamstring attaching to the sitting bone, so you get that stretch here down low by the sitting bone, and then once you flex that foot and straighten the knee, you'll get the stretch behind the knee as well. So point the toe, give a little release, draw the whole leg towards your nose, get a little bit more movement. Release that back, flex the foot, and then see if you get that same forward movement. This is just stretching the hamstring. Good. And then we'll bend the knees, switch the feet out. Bring the knee in the direction of the shoulder to plug that head of the leg bone in. Press the leg straight out. Give a little bit of point to the toe. Lift the leg up to get length. If you want to stretch the other leg out, just stretch out through that psoas and that hip flexor. That might feel good in your body. So with the toes slightly pointed, bring the leg closer towards your head, keeping the leg straight. If the leg is straight down here and starts to bend right here higher, then you want to lower the leg down to wherever it is straight and work from that place. Now flex the foot, meaning that you imagine you're standing on the ceiling, and notice you don't get quite as much range of motion, not quite as much draw toward the head. Breathing in and breathing out. Good. And then point, give it a little rest, lower it, and then draw it up towards your head. See if you get some more range of motion. And then from that point, try to flex the foot and see if it will allow you to stay where you were. Good. One more breath here. And again, holding poses for 20 to 30 seconds is ideal. And then bending that knee, releasing the strap, bringing the knees in towards the chest and rocking side to side. From here, we're going to roll all the way over onto our right side into a fetal or clamshell position. I'm going to fold the blanket up so that my head is in line with my neck, so my head isn't drooping. My feet are in a fetal position. My knees are stacked, so they're even. Left hand is resting in front of me for balance, and then the feet are going to stay glued together and flex as I slowly lift the knees, the top knee away from the bottom knee. This is called clamshell. And this is bringing strength right into that little butt muscle, the gluteus medius muscle. And if you put your hand and you find that spot, take your awareness to that space, you'll really notice that muscle working. And this is going to help to just stabilize the pelvis, stabilize moving down into the knee structure as well. So you want to lower with as much control as you lift. And it doesn't need to go real high. All right, next time you find your leg down, extend the leg straight out to the short end of the mat. Keep it at the same height of the hip. Internally rotate that leg so the heel is up toward the sky. And we're simply going to just lead with the heel and lift that leg up, not real high, just a few inches. Again, working the outside edge of the thigh and that gluteus medius muscle. And you'll find leading with the heel really helps to enhance isolating that movement. So just try to work up to 8 repetitions and doing 3 sets of each, moving from clamshell to leading with the heel. And then rotate that leg so it's neutral. Bring the knee in towards the chest and then extend that leg straight out to the short end of the mat. The whole time trying to keep the knee in line with the hip so you're not lifting it up over higher than the hip or dipping it down closer to the other leg. Once you get that leg extended to the short end of the mat, you're going to draw a square, slow square with your foot, just lifting the leg up a few inches, bringing it forward, lowering it down, and then pressing it back. Lift up and forward, so you can make a rectangle or a square, whatever, and then go the other direction. And this is just using some very isolated, controlled movement. And you're going to really start to feel this in the outer hip and in that gluteus medius, that little butt muscle. Good. And then bring the knee back into the chest and see if you can't lower it down in front of you and extend the lower leg, the right leg, straight out to the short end of the mat. Flex the foot and then slowly start to lift that leg up toward the ceiling. And this is going to work the inner thigh of that lower leg, that left leg. Or, oops, that's the right leg, isn't it? So just lift and lower nice and slowly. You'll feel the inner thigh really working. And if this hurts your bones, if you don't have a lot of meat on your bones there, you might want to put a blanket under your hip. Let's do just a couple more. Nice. And then I call that just the clamshell routine that you can do and repeat that whole sequence 2 or 3 times. Make some circles with your feet. and then we'll go over to the other side. So you can just roll over, or I'm going to switch completely to the other side. All right, so first support your head. Keep your neck in line with your spine. Bend the knees up towards your chest. Stack the knees evenly, feet are stacked, and then just little by little lift that top knee as you isolate the gluteus medius now on the opposite side. You can use your hand to help support, and really take your awareness to that space. When you take your awareness to a muscle that you're working, you're going to work it much more mindfully. A couple more here, nice and slowly. And then extend the leg to the short end of the mat. Internally rotate the leg. Lead with the heel as you lift and lower the leg up toward the sky. Not real high. You only want to take it 6 or 8 inches. Once you go up higher than that, you completely shift the muscles that you're working. So you want to just be very mindful, very specific, very targeted with the structure around the gluteus medius and the outside of the thigh. So a couple more here. And again, you're going to work toward doing 2 or 3 sets of these when you do this series. And you'll notice you start to get stronger. All right, come back to neutral. Bring the knee in towards the chest. And then press that leg straight out as if you're in those Tadasana legs. So they're hip distance apart, right? So it's coming straight out of your hip joint, pressing out through the heel of the foot. Keeping the leg in line with the hip. Controlled movement, nice and slow. Keep the core engaged to help support this. And then next time you find your leg extended, we're going to make those squares, those controlled squares, lifting, lowering, pressing forward. Good. Going both directions. So you're going to make a forward square and then take it back the other direction. And you will notice yourself getting stronger. You may even notice less discomfort in your knees as you start to support the structures around your the whole knee joint. And give yourself a little massage. All right, now I'm going to roll over onto our belly. I'm going to use the blanket under my hip points because of my lower back issues. This will help to keep me from arching my back too much. I'm going to bend the knees and just start by rocking the knees back and forth. And then lower the legs down. Lift, lengthen, and lower each leg just to get a little bit more space in the lower spine. And then bend that right knee again, and we're just going to simply lift very, very subtly. Just even a ½ inch as we flex the feet and lift the right foot up toward the sky. Try to keep the knee at a 90-degree bend. And then try the other leg, just a few. If you have any discomfort on one side of the hip in that SI joint, then this might not be a good posture for you to try right away. And then rock the knees side to side. Roll over back onto your back. Take your time. And we'll just do a couple of bridges. So when you do bridges, if you're able to get your knees flexed to the point where you can actually brush your heels with your fingertips, that will help you to realize that your shins are probably perpendicular to the floor. But if that doesn't feel good on your knees, walk your knees out a little bit. All right, so find what works for you. Bend at your elbows, lift up and snuggle your shoulder blades under your back. Palms face each other across your torso. Make sure there's nothing under your head, or that if there is, that your head is in line with your spine, that your chin is not tucked too closely in towards your chest. You're going to press the feet and the backs of the arms into the earth, and press with the heels of the feet mostly as you lift the hips and torso up off the earth. From here, isometrically send your shins forward, so push forward with your shins and see if that can help you lift a little bit more. Try to keep a little softer in the buttocks and work the hamstrings. This is a hamstring strengthener. Take another breath here, and then as you exhale, lower back down. So you can do this dynamically with your breath as you inhale, lifting the hips up, pressing forward with the shins, using mostly the heels of the feet, and as you exhale, lowering back down. Other things you can do are reach the arms forward or the arms up all the way overhead if that feels okay on your shoulders, and as you exhale, lowering the arms down. Those of you who find this really easy can put one ankle on top of the other knee and just use one leg at a time as you lift and lower. So there are all kinds of ways to modify this posture to get more or less depending on what you're looking for. And then going to the other side with just one leg, lifting and holding or lifting and lowering. Okay? When you're finished, just bring the knees into the chest, rock side to side, massage your lower back. Come back to your constructive rest pose. And then when you're ready, press on back up. And just notice how your knees are feeling and keep working those knees. And that is part 2. Okay? Thanks for joining me.